to your door. The Centre Newcastle, a member of the Dockrat Group.
The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al Ansar and the Al Ansar Foundation.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you courtesy of the Willowton Group, at the forefront of innovation, and one of the leading competitors in the South African FMCG market.
13 after 7 Tuesday morning. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live inside your radio as well. The festive season is a time for celebration, but for current students and matrics preparing to start their studies next year, it's also a time to prepare for the year ahead. This includes registering with a higher education institution or college, securing accommodation, transportation, sourcing textbooks, purchasing educational tech such as laptops, and so much more. Unfortunately, the student journey specifically has, over the past few years, become a lucrative news source for potential victims, for scammers, which is why young people need to be especially alert to potential bad actors these next few months. So joining us on the program this morning, Deputy Dean for Teaching and Learning at an institution for tertiary education, Adrian Garden. Good morning once again, and welcome to the Breakfast Rush.
Good morning, and good morning to everyone who's listening.
Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Can you explain why students and prospective students are particularly vulnerable to scams during this time of the year?
I think it's mainly because it is a festive season and you want a little bit of extra income. You might have a piece of technology that is old and you want to upgrade it. And it means that you're in the market to sell. And unfortunately, especially with things like technology, you have a lot of scammers out there who are very skilled at swindling you out of your technology and not paying for it. So it's almost that, you really want to enjoy the holidays, you want to enjoy the festive season, but it means that you almost let your guard down, and the sense of urgency is there, and you sometimes get caught up in it, and that's when the scammers hit.
What are the most common types of scams targeting students, and why are they so effective?
I think, first and foremost, if you were talking about it earlier about these institutions that appear accredited, and they're not. So from a higher education, especially private higher education point of view, you got to be really, really careful. Unfortunately, there are registered websites with the Department of Higher Education and Training, the Council on Higher Education. They have lists of accredited institutions, but they're also keeping a list of bogus institutions as well. And I think that's an important one. And then I think, because of the festive season, the market or the target for technological products especially is quite lucrative for scammers. And that's the one that people really need to watch out for.
Absolutely. Adrian, what are the key signs of a bogus higher education institution, and how can prospective students verify an institution's legitimacy?
Yeah, and I think it's really important, especially when you're going to the place physically. We're got a building in Braamfontein, and we look out the window, and all of a sudden you see these institutions that appear around about now and early in the new year that almost have a facade or like a shop front. And if you were to go and physically tour the rest of the building, it would be empty. So I think it's really important, if you are interested in attending an institution of higher education, to do a physical tour, and not just in a reception area, but go and look at the whole building and make sure that there are resources that they say they are offering. As I mentioned before, there are websites that have lists of accredited institutions, and if your institution isn't listed there, then that's a very big sign that perhaps this is not it's a bogus institution. It's also important to go to the source because we know these days you can photocopy or fake any kind of piece of paper and make it look really legitimate. So the website is really your source of truth and one that can't really be influenced or faked.
Scammers often target students seeking accommodation, textbooks, or transport services. What are the red flags that we need to watch out for in these areas?
So this is from personal experience, unfortunately, but scammers love to create the sense of urgency and almost try and manipulate it so that they are using their channel of communication, their channel of distribution, and they're really, really quick acting so that you're always on the back foot. So in our example, we were selling something and this person offered to pay even more. Like, no, we'll add the delivery fee and everything, because they knew they weren't going to pay any cent at all. So, they kind of make the deal so much more attractive. And I think these days, that's just too good to be true. If they're starting to talk like that, then it's fake.
Yeah.
Something my daddy always said: if it looks like it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. So there's a little bit of advice for everybody listening in. Adrian, what steps should students take to ensure that safe transactions when buying or selling items, especially online?
So these days, again, it's no longer just sufficient to get a proof of payment SMS because they can be faked. So the best way is to make sure that the money is actually in your account before you hand anything over to somebody else. And also just be really careful of the location. If you have to, hand over anything or exchange something, do so in a public place, in a place that rather than one that is suggested by them. And also avoid transactions on a Sunday, for example, because it takes longer to appear in your bank account. And that, again, gives space for scammers to either cancel the transaction or just have an excuse to say, but it will appear later.
Mm-hmm. As a final question for this morning, if a student believes they have fallen victim to a scam, what immediate steps should they take?
I think the most important thing is to report it. And I think people are a bit pessimistic these days about the fact that perhaps there won't be an investigation because it is so commonplace these days. But the collective data that is gathered by the police does eventually lead to criminal investigations and kind of looking at the kingpins rather than these individuals or the people lower down on the rung. So I would definitely report it to the police and then claim from insurance.
There you go. Thank you very much for your time and valuable advice to our young folks, our learners this morning. Adrian Garden, have yourself an amazing day.
Indeed. Thank you. You too.
There you have it. That was Deputy Dean for Teaching and Learning at an institution for tertiary education, higher education, Adrian Garden. No stranger to the program. Now, if you're watching and you're looking at the screens behind me, you've got Hangman on both ends, right? And in the middle, there's that loop that goes around, and you'll see the Flip It game, sort of art, imagery, whatever you want to call it, popping up in the screen there behind me every so often. The reason for that is because we're taking you that's playing Hangman with us now. Hopefully we'll take you straight to the sub so you can play Flip It and win an incredible amount of prizes, as many as you can. We're actually not going to limit the amount of prizes you could win on Flip It. What we're going to do is we're going to limit the time you have, right? So on air, what do? We say 60 seconds?
Yes, we did.
No need to change that rule. We'll give you 60 seconds at the souk as well to just nail it, as many as you can in 60 seconds, and just take away prize after prize after prize after prize after the ad break. Send a message now on 060-904-1056. The message that you're sending is one word. That word. Hangman. That's all. So do it. If you want the spelling, it's on the screen. Hangman. Send that word there, that one there, hangman, on WhatsApp. Nazmira's going to choose somebody. She's going to call you back, and you get a chance to play Hangman with us this morning and hopefully get your name on that wheel for this weekend to go round and round.
The Breakfast Rush. It's the only way to start your day.
The breakfast